This is an excerpt from a short story. It's really long, and this is the end, so you guys get the payoff without having to do any work. So I think what you need to know is the narrator is a teenage boy who spent most of the last day watching an entire season of a show that was not named, but is clearly The Bachelorette, which also happens to be the show where his parents met. All right. I still can't sleep. The show lasted a lot longer than I had thought it would. It's 5 in the morning. I'm not tired at all, but I'm hungry. I go down to the kitchen and rest my forehead against the cool door of the fridge. "David?" my mom says from her hall. I jump a little. Her face is sleepy and distorted, and her glasses are askew. Normally she wears contacts, so I forget what she looks like when they aren't in. She's wearing an old t-shirt of my dad's. "Sorry, I was hungry," I say. She nods. "I was going to get up soon anyhow." She yawns and sits at one of the chairs. "Need any help?" I shake my head. There's leftover meat from dinner in the right. I find it and stick it in the microwave. When it's ready, I sit down next to her. "Rachel said to tell you she's sorry," I say. She rests her head on her hand. "That girl's got a mouth on her, doesn't she?" I smile, chew my food. She reaches out and puts her hand on the back of my neck. "I can't believe you're so big," she says. It's comforting, her hand there, but I shrug her off anyhow. "Can I ask you a question?" I say. Something about the twilight, about the gray light already beginning to dawn in the kitchen, makes me feel like we're not in our real home. Normally she'd be yelling at me about Rachel, lecturing me about something. I would be taking my food to my room alone, trying to avoid her questions and her affection. We've been transported elsewhere, somewhere where it's only us. "Yeah, baby, of course." "Why'd you choose Dad?" She turns to look at me. "Why do you ask that?" I keep staring down at the hunk of the meat on my plate. "You could have been with any number of guys, right? That's how it worked, isn't it?" She yawns again, stretches. "I loved him, David." "Would you do it again?" "What do you mean?" The willful forgetting of what he did pisses me off the most. But in this light, I feel like I can handle it. "He cheated on you, Mom. Would you pick him again, even knowing he was going to do that?" She leans her head from one side to the other, stretching her neck. "I love you, David. I would never want to be without you." I think about this. "I don't forgive him," I say. "You shouldn't have either." "Oh, David." She puts her hand on my arm, and I don't shake her off of me. "I watched the show," I say. "You could have been with anyone." "The show?" she asks, then chuckles a little. "Honey, that show. I mean, it's crazy that it worked out at all." I take another bite of food. She leans back a little in her chair. "You know how those shows worked, right? The producers, during those interviews, they'd ask these specific questions, then cut and paste your answers until you'd said what they wanted you to say. So it's just cut and paste that made you and Dad get married?" "No, not like that." I stare down at my empty plate. She stands up and clears it to the sink, rinses it and puts it into the dishwasher. She unbends, reaches her fist towards the sky and puts the other to the small of her back, stretching. I can see it again, the ghost of my mom's young self, fighting to get out from behind the brittle skin. She's limber and practically vibrating with energy. She's crawling all over every guy she can get her legs around. She looks out the window at the paling light. You can see the fog over the water. "That was why my mom got this place," she always said, "for the view." She grins as much as she's able and turns to me. "Did you know I was on a show before the one where I met your dad? It was the other way around. I was one of 20 women. A guy was going to pick one of us." I shake my head a little. It makes some of the things she said make more sense, about coming back this time, being ready this time to find love. So back then, everyone got a storyline. You probably saw it on my season, too. There's the bad boy, the crazy one, the one with the heartbreaking past. Yeah? So my storyline was that I was the one who chose my job. I left on my own because my job was in jeopardy. I really thought I was in love with the guy, but it was too scary to leave my job. She looks out at the window again, tilts her head a little. Anyhow, that's all old news. The point is Dad and I had the same story as anyone else. I thought I was going to be with someone else, but it wasn't meant to be. I was meant to meet Dad. "Like fate?" She sighs. "Sort of, I guess." "So Dad was meant to cheat on you?" Her shoulders slump a little. "It's not that simple, David." "Really?" I ask. "It seems pretty simple. He fucked someone else. He spent all this time being a liar." "David, stop." Her voice catches like she might start to cry. I lay my hands flat on the countertops, feel the heat condense on the arch of my palm. "Sorry," I say. "It's okay." She turns her whole body to lean on the counter, wipes at the resin with her palm, as if wiping away a fleck of dirt. "You're so much like him. He was so angry at me when he watched the whole show." I'm not angry at you. People shouldn't see their parents like that. It's weird. When I was little, I remember these women who would stop my dad when I was out with him. They'd come up to him and tell him how lucky my mom was. They'd squeeze his shoulder and he'd smile kindly and pull away. If my mom was with him, he'd put his arm around her. And you could see that my mom felt so pleased that he did that he put her first. I could feel the satisfaction just waft off of her. It made me feel safe. I want to get up and hug my mom. She looks so lonely. A little ghost girl. She needs someone to believe in. The sun pokes up and illuminates the room with an alien glow, and the night is lost. She's just my mom, tired and old. I hear a door close and realize my dad is coming out too. I get up and head down the hallway to my room, then turn and peek back into the kitchen. My mom stiffens when he puts a hand on her back. Then she turns around and tugs at his t-shirt, bringing him to her. She kisses him and his hands release her for a second, then grab her tighter. He leans back, pulling her toes off the floor. It's all performance. I stay. Thank you.